Fight me if you want. Why? Why, Joshana? I don't fucking know. I don't just have money coming out of my ass all the time, so I really can't just be running fucking buck wild like that. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about some friggin' year-end stats and my spreadsheet. The new spreadsheet I have, courtesy of Allie at Hardback Hoarder. She is a gem, and I mean, I don't know how long she's been doing it, but every year basically she will put out her, spreadsheet she uses. It's very thorough and fantastic and like pretty, just organized very well with all the formulas and everything. And this year she did an even more intensive one with all kinds of options that you can, of course, delete certain things and choose to edit or not use certain things, but it's very, very thorough. And she is charging for it this year, which I think is very fair because, I mean, the amount of stuff on it, like, I can't even imagine. I know a little bit about Google Sheets and how to do stuff. Like, I've made my own spreadsheets in the past. Admittedly, they were not this pretty, and that is why I am using hers now. But yeah, it's $5. She has it linked in her video, kind of going over everything and showing you how it works, what you can change, what you shouldn't edit or whatever. I will have her video linked down below for sure, or in the cards or wherever, somewhere you'll be able to go to her video to see. And in her description bar, she has the link to her Etsy where she is selling it. And there's a couple different versions with like different color themes of it. I got the purple one. And I have changed it a bit for certain things that I don't use or don't want to use, and then certain things where I added a little bit or just kind of tweaked it a bit to suit my needs. But yeah, it's fucking amazing. I actually recorded this video already like last week using my old spreadsheet that I use. However, I have since decided to switch over to this one, so I'm re-recording this whole thing. Yay. I will first just show the spreadsheet. I'm gonna record my screen just to show you what I am utilizing on it. Okay, so the first tab is just books read. And I have this, I mean, it looks different than my old one because my old one was ugly, but as far as the content on it, it's very similar. On the original template, there's a lot more stuff you can track. I deleted some columns that are just things I don't particularly care to track or whatever. So I put this book on here that is the first book I plan on starting. I actually did technically start it already. I don't do monthly wrap-ups and shit, so I don't care that I started it and I'm not going to finish it until January. It's whatever. So this will be the first book I finish, I assume. I put a rating in just to show some of the data. I haven't actually rated it, obviously. For me personally, I always color code books that I'm currently reading. I do put them on my sheet as I'm currently reading them, and I just do pink and I italicize it. Once I finish the book, I make it not italicized anymore, but still pink until I talk about it in a wrap-up or do a review. Then I change it to black font. That's just kind of to have it in my head to remember. But yeah, so author, month read, it's a drop down here. That's slightly different from how mine was. The ratings, she just had half stars. I changed it, and it's really cool with certain drop-down options she has on the sheet. If you go all the way to the right on the bottom, selection edits. All I had to do was change this, and it automatically changed all of those drop-downs on that sheet. And same with, I changed up the genres. I'm not using sub-genres. I changed up, I think acquired I changed, and then acquired locations I changed as well. And yeah, it just automatically changes it. I don't know how she did that, but it's fucking awesome. And then to checkmark once you DNF, I did previously have like in my drop down a DNF option, but I'm choosing to go with the checkbox thing as well. And then main genre, I deleted the subgenre. Like I said, intended audience is just, target audience. I've always tracked that, I think. Serial, I decided to leave this. I might decide to stop tracking this at some point because there's a whole other series section, but it might be kind of fun to see just how many that I'm reading in my whole list of the year are from a series or not. I don't know, we'll see. If it is from a series, then you can put the series name and what number in the series it is. And this is really cool. I put number 1, right? And so then on the yearly charts sheet, if I go here, where is it? Yeah, right here, series stats. So part of a series, it's tracking that if it says series on that drop down, right? Whoops, where did I scroll over, Deshauna? Hello, there we go. On this column, if you check series, it marks it there as like you've read books from part of a series. And then, since I put number 1 in the series, it says I have 1 series started. If I go over here and I change it to series number 2, say this is a duology, and then I check completed series, now over here, it says series finished. Super fun. Love that. And then source material, I've always tracked that if it's a physical, audio, ebook, or mixture. Release date, I am tracking that now as well, like if it's a new release or not. Type of publication, I might delete this. I don't know how much I care. Author status is another one. I don't know. It could be fun. I'm leaving it for now because it could be fun to know. Diverse, this is very similar to how I was tracking. I previously did as well. Allie talks about this in her video. Like previously would track like author, race, you know, culture, ethnicity, gender, queer identity or not, like all of that stuff. And it just gets a little hinky because I mean, with race and ethnicity, you know, biracial people exist, like multicultural people exist. It's much more complex than just like a list of items. And I don't think there's anything wrong if someone like is trying to track it as much as they can with acknowledging that like it can be a little more complex than a list. But, and also with queer identities, it's like a lot of people don't necessarily shout that from the rooftops. Some authors might actually still be, you know, in the closet. They might not be out publicly. And that is okay. They don't have to be. And so, and then it's fluid. So I, a while ago, stopped tracking all the little things. I was still doing author race, but like I said, it just gets a little hinky. And even that, sometimes it's like, maybe I don't know exactly what their race is. And maybe they are multiracial. So which one am I gonna pick for them? You know, I'm not gonna make that decision for them. So I was tracking just like if I would consider it diverse. And so I'm going to continue doing that with just this little checkbox. I always want to read diversely, meaning I want the books I pick up to have representation of marginalized communities of various kinds. And I also want just the books I'm picking up to be of a variety of different representations, culture, whatever, all the things, right? That's what I'm going to do moving forward, is just use this checkbox of like, is there some kind of diversity in this book? Is it different from me? Is there representation shown in this book that is different from like my lived experience, basically? And then she has this on here. I'm going to leave it where you can type in kind of what diversity rep you see in this book. I just started this book, so all I have currently is just like the cultural representation. There might be more as it goes on, I'm not sure. And then acquired, like where you read this book from. Date started and date finished. Storygraph does track this for me, but I thought it might be fun just to see it like easily on my spreadsheet versus having to go look at each individual book on Storygraph. They do give like an end of the year like average, I think, but I thought it might be fun, so I'm gonna do that. And then yeah, the Storygraph updates. Content warnings section where you can type stuff in. I figured I would leave that. Heard about from. And then, yeah, the yearly charts just has like a whole bunch of stats. There's like a dashboard over here. Pages read and hours listened. I'm going to delete that. I don't track that. She does have that on the template on the books read sheet, but I don't care, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, editing Deshauna here to show you something I added in here real quick, just because I think it's fun and I'm a nerd. So part of my like reading goals, my, I guess, guidelines for myself, reading plans, whatever for the year, include a couple of rules I set for myself, including how often I can buy books, which I set it for every 3 books I read. I will allow myself 1 that I can purchase. And then new releases, every 5 backlist I read, I can pick up a new release. And then nonfiction, every 10 fiction I read, I have to pick up a nonfiction. So what I did is I put some formulas in here of just taking the books read total and dividing it by however many needed. So for can buy, every 3 read, I can buy 1. So if I go in here and I set it up, my like tracking how many I read, I added this little thing because I'm dumb and this was the easiest way for me to do it. So let's just do 10. Is that not 1? No, that's not 10, Shoshana. Hello. Don't mind me, guys. So then if I go over here, now I can buy 3 books if I've read 10. I can read 2 new releases, and I have to read 1 nonfiction now. So that is what I added in there because as I was showing, like I don't track hours listened and pages read and whatnot. Storygraph tracks it for me, but I don't pay attention to it. So this is what I added in, and I think it's fun. Yeah, just wanted to show you that.
Rereads, I also deleted that because I've tracked it the last couple years and it's always about the same. Like I do reread books, I think more than a lot of people do, but I still end up almost always, it's way majority of like not rereads, so whatever. But yeah, books acquired, library checkouts, that's coming from other sheets, popped on here. Reading goal, this is like a little progress bar, it tracks it, so that's cool. Top 5 reading goals, I just popped those on there. You can check them off once you complete it. The monthly reads, your series stats that I just kind of showed, author stats. Oh yeah, I took off the own voices thing because again, that can get like hinky for me. I have found to like track and like know for sure. Sometimes it's very obvious. You know, they might say it in the blurb or whatever, but it's not always that obvious, and I don't think it has to be. Library stats, love that as well. Diversity stats, fun. Oh yeah, I took off the LGBTQIA one too. And then spent versus saved. I added this little tracker right here. It was super easy. I just grabbed it from my hauls and unhauls tab. There's a total there of money spent. And then from the library books, there's a total of money saved. And I just basically did a sum formula and used that cell to pop it here, just to have it like all on the dashboard. And then there's various charts here. I changed some of these, I deleted some. Allie explains it way better in her video, how to do all of that. So please go watch her video if you're planning on using this. But yeah, just nice, pretty little charts and stuff, little graphs and whatnot. I added this one, the spent versus saved, because I added that over here. It's super easy to add a chart from information. You just copy it like this and then go to the insert chart, and then you can edit the chart as needed. Monthly stats, I don't really do this because I don't do monthly wrap-ups. So I don't know if I will ever pay attention to this, but maybe I will. So the series situation, she has 3 options for like a series tracker. And I took option 3, that's what this one is. But I did add in, I like having the names of the books in the series. That's how I had it on my series chart. So I just, only for the first 7, because I'm like, after that, it's like, you're well into a series. There's only a couple that even go that far, and it's usually like more intensive, like paranormal romance ones. But I did add that. I just added in a little column. So like right next to number 1, that's the title of book number 1. Next to number 2, checkbox, title of book number 2, and so on and so forth. So I added that in there. But yeah, I just like this one. The other ones were more, this is like the easiest one, the like least complex of the 3 options. And I did like the complexity of the other ones and some of the stats. But I like the layout of this better, of like, the other ones just would get like way too long on the page for me. I like having the series and then it going over to the right for like all of the books in the series. The other ones were going down the page, so I just prefer the look of this. And I did add stuff up here at the top. I added in like the total number of like work in progress, total number that I'm caught up with, and this is like throughout the year. So like right now I'm in the middle of 32. As I mark them as finished or caught up or DNF'd throughout the year, this will change obviously. And I used this series status over here, and I changed the colors kind of and stuff, and I think it said unfinished. I changed it to DNF. So like if I change this right here to DNF'd, now if I scroll over, now it says total DNF. So it's like the start of the year, this is where I'm at, and oops, Jesus Christ, I scrolled the wrong way. Go back. There we go. I meant to scroll over like this. And then I also do keep track, just to help myself organize, like what to prioritize, like how many I own of a series. And this is just, I just do all, some, or all available. And then I also put like a fully published checkbox. Again, that's to help me organize, like, because down here, starting right here, is all ones that I have not started yet, but like series to start, ones I want to start, right? So that's that. And then any that I DNF, I do still have my own like series sheet that I think I'll probably paste them over to, because I keep a running list of like every series I've ever DNF'd. And then hauls and unhauls, I did change this slightly as well. This is like, I think she had it called bought and sold or something. I don't sell books like on Depop and stuff like that. I probably should, but I just use local bookstores and unhaul and do trade-ins. So like technically I'm selling them, but usually whenever I do that, I'm immediately using the store credit to buy more. So I don't know. I don't count those as like selling. So I did tweak this, I think a fair amount. I changed it to like show if it is an unhaul or a haul, and I have it counting over here, a total of hauled versus unhauled, and then how many I've added to my own shelves, like the math of like I hauled this many, but then I unhauled, so here's how many I actually have like net added to my shelves. And then yeah, title, author, series number, the format of it, because I do keep track of that as well, like how many audiobooks versus ebooks versus physical, where I got it from. I didn't used to keep track of this, but I thought it could be fun, and I did. Like I said, I added in my own, Changing Hands, Bookman's, bookshop.org wasn't on the list, I added that. Goldsboro I changed, I don't remember what this one was, but I just changed it to Goldsboro. Hey, you're okay. Boyfriend's dog is barking. He barks anytime he hears someone. And then how much I paid for the book. So previously, to track my like money spent, I would just put like the total purchase. Like if I went to Barnes & Noble and I bought however many books, I would put just like, I spent this much at Barnes & Noble today. So this might be a little bit like more complicated for me now to like actually look at my receipts and like put each individual book, how much I spent on them. So I don't know, I might change that, but it's fine for now. And then tracking, did I read the book that I acquired? Did I DNF it? Did I just straight up unhaul it? Because I do that sometimes where I buy a book and then I'm like, actually, no. And then I unhaul it before I even pick it up to try to read it. And I did put down that here. So total spent and then percent read, percent unhauled, and then percent DNF'd. And then I keeping track of total bought, which I have down here too. But then ones that I bought and just straight up unhauled, I'm keeping track of that. So like this one here, if I check it, it should, oh, okay, I need to fix that. I'll have to fix this because total bought should be different too. It's a different formula, but I will fix it to where any that I buy and then check off unhaul, it will keep track of that. I just have to figure that out. Oops. Let me like highlight that for myself. Okay. Anyways. And then, yeah, format bought totals, blah, blah, blah. There's that. And then library books. I haven't previously kept track of this, but I don't know. I figured it could be fun. I don't use the library as much these days just because I have so many owned books on my shelves now. But I do want to try to use it more this year. My book budget, I need to actually take it fucking seriously this year. So I will probably be using the library more. And yeah, then I can put the amount saved, which is just how much would I have spent if I got this version of this book from, like, I usually just use Amazon as like the go-to to have it consistent. So yeah, and then the month you check it out versus the month you read it. For me, usually that'll be the same. And then yeah, checking off if you read it. Anticipated releases, I changed this slightly. I added in, what did I add in? Oh yeah, the blurb bit. I just like having that kind of to, because as the year goes on, I might be like, what's that friggin' book? I don't even remember what it's about. Just quick, easy way for me to look and see. And then this is the category of the book, like the genre. They're basically all fantasy, whatever. number in the series that it is, the format that it is if you're reading it, and then did you order it? I do plan on pre-ordering some. I just bolded the ones that I want to pre-order. So there's that. And then if you do order, where'd you order from? And then if you read it, if you DNF'd it, or for me, I put lost interest as well. And then if it's a special edition. Some of these I have NetGalley e-arcs, so I did already actually read them. I think you might, like, maybe you're supposed to only put, because it was called new releases, so I think you're supposed to only put ones that, like, you actually have read them and they were a new release, because it's, like, tracking, you know, how many per month. But I'm utilizing it to just keep track of my anticipated releases and how many of them I actually read, or how many I DNF, and how many I've lost interest on, because I keep track of all of that. And then owned library. I have been keeping track of this in the past. I did tweak this a bit again. I use BookBuddy. I love BookBuddy, and I have the pro version. I just realized because I was telling Roger, my friend Roger, about it, and I was like, it's amazing and it's free. And he's like, is it though? Because I thought you could only do 50. And I was like, oh, maybe I paid for the pro, because I don't pay monthly or anything, but I've been using it for a couple years and I have all my books on it. And I went and looked, and yes, I do indeed have the pro version. I can't remember how much it costs, but I love it. You just use your phone camera to scan in books. And obviously the first time I did it, it was kind of an intensive process to scan all, 300 some books I had at the time. But it's pretty easy. You just scan in the ISBN and it puts in the image. Mass market paperbacks from years ago do sometimes pull up like a completely different book and you have to like manually edit. But any newer books, anything from, I would say, like 2000 and on, you're fine. And then as I get new books, I scan them in, and then I keep track of like which ones are read and unread there. So at the beginning of the year, I just go and I export my unread list from BookBuddy. That's where I got this. They're all physical, so I could probably just delete this column because it's just my physical TBR that I'm keeping track of. And then I keep track of if I read it, if I DNF'd it, if I just straight up unhauled it, meaning, because any DNFs I unhaul, obviously, and sometimes even books I read I unhaul. When I check this off, it means I never even picked the damn book up. I never even attempted to read it. I just decided I don't want it anymore, and I'm unhauling it. So that's what that's for, and that keeps track over here, what percentage. I have had this exact, like, information last year. It just didn't look this pretty and this nice. And it didn't have some, like, the rating I didn't have on there, and I didn't have, like, if it was a special edition or anything. So there's that. Yay. And that's it. That's the end of the sheet for me. So love that. Thank you so much, Allie. She's the best. Again, I'll have her, like, video somewhere so you can go check it out. But now let's get into my stats for the year. I'm scooching over slightly so that there's like as much room as possible on the screen to put my little images up here. So first up is just my overall number of books read and DNF'd each month. Just a nice little visual to see that at the beginning of the year, 'twas not reading very much at all. I just had a weird reading year. It wasn't bad, and I was never like fully slumpy. I don't know, I was like distracted, wasn't picking up books as much, I guess. And then we can see that October was definitely my highest DNF month. That was the month where, I don't know if you guys remember, I DNF'd like 4 books in a row at one point. I was on a fucking roll, just like, no, don't care, bye, just over it. Money spent versus money saved this year is a fucking travesty. Oh my God. My goals video, I talked about this. I'm not like going severely into debt. I'm not making myself broke buying books. I wouldn't do that. But like, do I spend more than I probably should and could like divert that money to, paying off other things? Yeah, for sure. And this year I went a little fucking wild. And the end of the year here, the last couple months, financial issues with my house, just things coming up, and I've had to go into debt a bit to take care of all of that shit. So I just can't be doing all this. I can't be doing all this in the coming year. It's like almost $1,600 I spent on books, and I hardly used the library at all. As we can see, I think it was $137 for money saved. So yeah, I need to get it in check. Like I said, financially, like I'm pretty fortunate. I'm okay financially. I'm good. I have like a decent job and all of that shit. But you know, I don't just have money coming out of my ass all the time, so I really can't just be running fucking buck wild like that. And then acquired versus unhauled, I physically brought in 126 new books this year. I unhauled 59, so I ended up acquiring 67 new books on my shelves at the end of the year. Don't hate that, you know, could be worse, could be better. And then here's the percentage for books that I hauled. How many of them did I read prior? Because I do that a fair amount where I've already read this book, maybe in NetGalley eArc, maybe I read it on ebook, but now I have a physical copy that I'm buying, whatever the case may be. So 11.9% that I took in that I had actually already read them. And then how many of them did I read and I kept them? I liked them enough to keep the book, 12.7%. And then this one here, I think, I read them and I decided not to keep them. I unhauled them. So that's probably about like 4 point something percent. And then ones that I DNF'd, which would also be unhauling them, but I didn't even read these. I didn't finish, 6.3%. And then unread and unhauled. Books I bought this year, but then this year decided, actually, JK, I don't want to read this. 4.8%. Why? Why, Joshana? I don't fucking know. And so then 60.3% that I took in this year that I bought physically, just I haven't gotten to them. Never read them before, haven't read them this year. That could be better. And then diverse reads. This year, as I showed, I'm just using the checkbox. Previously, I would do like yes, no, or ish. So there's that. New release. I was tracking this year if it was just new release from this year, 2022, yes, 25.5%, or not a totally new release, but just from the last year, so from 2021, 17.3%, and then anything before 2000 was its own thing of 4.1%, and then no is basically anything between 2000 and 2021. And then age range, target audience, whatever, primarily adult, as per usual the last several years. And then genre, I'm not tracking subgenre anymore because reading primarily fantasy, it's like it gets so complicated. Most fantasy books, they could fall under a variety of subgenres, and I'm not about to track every single fucking subgenre that a fantasy book could fall under. No, ain't no way. Yeah, so just overall genres, primarily fantasy, not as much, I don't think, as last year, though, because I did read more romance this year. I did another deep dive of that, and then I just picked up some on my own, too. I did read some mystery this year, thanks to the Lady Hardcastle mystery series. And then I read a little bit more historical fiction than normal, which was a goal. I didn't read much more nonfiction. Hopefully next year that'll be higher. And then I did have a couple contemporary as well. And then what's this little tiny one? Literary, just a couple that counted technically as literary fiction. But series situation, I'm in the middle of 32. This year I DNF'd 14. I caught up on 7 series, and then I completed 3. So not as many as I wanted. I wanted to complete 5. I mean, I kind of almost got there, but not quite. But I did catch up on quite a few, and I knocked a few off the list entirely. And just a visual representation real quick of the series that I completed. These 3. I did count Kudshiel's Dart, the Phaedra's trilogy, even though I technically DNF'd the 3rd book at like 70-some%. But like I read the other ones fully and I almost finished that one, so I count the series as completed. Fight me if you want. And then the Work in Progress series, again, just a visual of all the first books in the series. And then the ones I DNF'd this year. Again, the first books in the series. Just a visual, a little look. See the other video if you want more of an explanation for why I DNF'd them. And format of the books I read, definitely had more audiobook and ebook this year, I do believe. Still primarily physically, but ebook especially, I was getting more like used to it. And then my owned unreads, so this is the percentages. At the beginning of the year, I had 104 books on my owned unread list from my BookBuddy app. And then I picked up 34, yay, and did not touch 70. So of the ones that I picked up, I read fully 50%. Love that. I DNF'd 17.6%. And then I just straight up unhauled 32.4, where I didn't even read them, didn't try to read them. I just decided, you know what? I don't want to read this. Don't love that for me, because that means I'm just wasting fucking money, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, getting into ratings. I will give a little visual here of my rating system, which is just mostly vibes. And don't fight me that the math might not make fucking sense to you. And like certain ones, it's like a category of like 3 ratings that are kind of in the same vein for me, and others it's 2. Just leave me alone. It's vibes, okay? So the quarter star breakdown looks like this. Oh, and my DNFs were included here. So of the books I picked up this year, I DNF'd 28.4%. And last year we can see of the books I picked up, which is about the same amount of books. I think it was, yeah, I think I read 72 books last year and I read 71. I DNF'd 18.4% though, way less, way less. And yeah, we can kind of see all the individual little quarter star breakdowns. This is a little messy to me though, and isn't all that telling as far as like how much I enjoyed or didn't. I don't know, it's a little hard to like visualize. So what I did is lumped it more together. So 4.5 and 4.75, if I had to round, I would round up to 5. So I lumped those all in. So 4.5 up to 5, 23.2%. I'm pretty happy with that. And then 3.75 up to 4.25. This is all stuff I would put in at like a 4, you know, if I had to round or whatever. But yeah, 33.3%. Love that. And then 3 to 3.5, the very middle of the road, what I would put as a 3 is 36.2%. And then anything below a 3, 7.2%. So I'm pretty happy with those numbers. You know, I pretty heavily enjoyed most of what I read this year. So I think that's fun. And here is a visual of the books that I read, their covers, and put into those like little categories. Definitely had a lot in the 3 to 3.5 range, but I had quite a few in the 3.75 and above, which is super fun. Love that for me. And only 5 that were below 3. So there we are. That's all the fun data stuff for those of you that love this kind of thing. I'm so excited for the new reading tracker. I still have my old spreadsheet for like my YouTube stuff, for like keeping track of videos I want to film and like my ideas like board that's just a bunch of bullshit. And my master stats too. Every year I take like all of the ratings and book titles and all that DNFs data from like the book stats sheet, and I'll just like paste it over to like my master sheet. So I still have that as well. Let me know, what kind of a data tracker are you? Are you someone who loves to have like the cool spreadsheet? Do you just do like a reading journal? I have the spreadsheet and then Storygraph, which 10 out of 10 would recommend. Love Storygraph. And then, and they're doing a roundup this year too, or like a wrap up, like a year-end wrap up that I should be getting like in the coming days. I'm very excited for that. But then I do also have a reading journal, but in that I only put the book title, author name, and like a brief sentence or 2 of like my thoughts, and then the rating. That's all I put in there. I don't put, and it's just like a notebook that I just write it in. I also use book plates, and I do the same thing where I just put the year and like a brief line or 2 and then the rating. So I track in all the places, which is maybe stupid and like a waste of my time, but I like doing it. It's fun. But yeah, are you someone like that? Or do you just keep it pretty simple using just Goodreads or Storygraph? Or do you just use like a journal, a reading journal? Let me know. Always curious. Like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already and you feel so inclined. Do the little bell if you want to make sure you get notified when I do post a video so you don't miss any. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.